What was your first Prime weapon? I remember building the Lex Prime together with the Braton Prime around Mastery Rank 8. But back then I had no plat, no window, no mods, and no clue of what exactly I was doing. So I didn't think much of the Braton Prime. Today, we changed that. Hey guys, hello and welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're gonna be diving deeper into this Mastery Rank 8 primary weapon, the Braton Prime. I'm gonna be covering a cheap build, something affordable that anybody can get into, but of course we also have the quote-unquote endgame setup with a Riven. Though please keep in mind that my builds and guides usually follow a more new player friendly approach, simply because there's a lot of info here and I want anybody watching to understand how the weapon functions and how it should be built. So if you're a veteran of the game and already know most of this stuff, then please, bear with me. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Braton Prime. Let's begin by checking out how the weapon handles without any mods equipped, and for that I'm simply gonna be taking a couple of free shots. As you can see, the Braton is an automatic rifle or submachine gun or whatever, it doesn't really matter. The accuracy isn't really all that hot, but it's not bad either. This is roughly 30 meters away from the target and I'm gonna unload 75 bullets. That's a full clip for the Braton so you can see the spread. Okay, I think that should do it. 60 bullets is enough. So as you can see, the accuracy isn't outstanding, but it's not terrible either, especially since you can fire a little bit, wait for the weapon to kind of calm down. The recoil itself is not really all that bad. From my point of view, it's totally manageable, and I love how the weapon sounds. Let's jump into stats to see precisely what we're dealing with. First of all, we're going to talk about mod capacity 60 out of 60. Now, if your Braton only has 30 out of 30, then jump into actions and plug in an Arcane Catalyst. If you don't have an Arcane Catalyst, this one can be found from alerts, invasions, especially after dev streams. If you're lucky from the daily sortie, though the chance to get it as a reward is pretty low. More often than not, I have to pay 20 plat to have one plugged in, so keep that one in mind. Next, my weapon has been formatted a total of 6 times, but this was done for the purpose of testing. Keep in mind that the Braton Prime doesn't come with any polarity at all, and for the weapon builds I'm recommending you guys, 4 forma will have to do. Accuracy is 28.6, and as you saw there in practice, it's not outstanding, it's decent towards good. Critical chance 12%, which is a tad low unfortunately. This is the main problem with the Braton, the low base critical chance. The crit multi is quite nice at 2.0, unfortunately the base crit chance lets it down. Fire rate 9.58 with a magazine of 75 and a reload of 2.2. You're not gonna get a lot of downtime with the Braton. That is a solid magazine size and a nice fire rate. Now we can slap on some fire rate on the Braton to further increase our DPS, lower our kill time and all that, but we might bump into ammo issues. In that case, go for carrier together with ammo case. Riven disposition is 3 out of 5, which will mean that the Rivens will be decent for this one. I'm quite surprised considering how big the Braton family is. You have the MK1 Braton, the Braton Prime, Braton Vandal now, more newer, so I'm guessing this one might go down in the future. Status chance is 26%, and this is kinda where the weapon shines. As for the default damage or IPS, we have a high amount of slash, which is very important, a decent amount of puncture, and a very small amount of impact, thank God. Anyway, enough about that, let's start slapping on some mods. We're gonna start with mandatory mods. Serration, 100% mandatory. If you're more newer to the game, if you're MR8 and you just built your Braton Prime and you don't know what to sync your endo in, you cannot go wrong with Serration. There is no Prime version to this one, and it will be present basically on 99% of your primary builds for the most part. Very well, we got our damage. Next we're gonna go into multi-shot. Split chamber is 100% mandatory with 90% multi-shot. This basically means that at a click of a button you are gonna be firing multiple bullets. Basically with 90% multi-shot means that you have a 90% chance per each fire to get one additional bullet. Hopefully that made a little bit of sense. Next we're gonna go into crit chance and crit damage. Even though the base crit chance of the Braton is only 12%, we do have Point Strike, which offers a whopping 150% critical chance. So it's still worth it, bringing our crit chance to 30%. And of course, next we're gonna go into critical damage. Pointless to have a, well, somewhat decent crit chance without crit multi with Vital Sense. And our crit multi jumps to 4.4. And these will be our mandatory mods for the Braton. These 4, if you sync your endo in, is never a bad idea. Next, we should be looking towards elemental damage, and elemental damage should always be swapped in and out depending on the encounter, who exactly is that you're shooting. For example, against the infested, you want to build fire in general, though corrosive against their more tougher units such as ancient healers is not a bad idea. Against Corpus faction, what you can do is build magnetic, which will deal extra damage against their shields, but alternatively you can simply build gas, which will bypass their shields entirely on a status proc and deal damage to their health. My safest bet against them usually is to build toxin, because once again it bypasses their shields and deals damage directly to their health. When you're talking about Grenier, you gotta take into account their armor type. They have two types of armor: alloy, which is weak to radiation damage, and ferrite, which is weak to corrosive damage. Against Grenier, your safest bet, more often than not, is to build corrosive, which is the elemental combo between electricity and toxin, and that's what we're gonna be doing today. We're gonna start off with the electricity because this one is a bit more expensive. Should you go for the 90 mod or for the 60/60 mod? If you don't have high voltage or don't want to farm it and all whatnot, then go for Stormbringer and forget about it. The difference in the results will be minute, but for the best results you're gonna go with the 60/60 mod. High voltage, 60% electricity, 60% status chance. Now this one is a bit expensive from the trade chat, between 30 and 50 plat, but it is farmable from in-game, from the mission Naelgar on the planet Eris. You will have to find all the free secret caches, then upon extraction you have a 5% chance of getting this one or Shell Shock, which is the exact same mod but only for shotguns. Got my electricity, now we're gonna go into Toxin, and the next mod is a lot more affordable and easier to obtain. Malignant Force, 60% Toxin and 60% status chance. This one can be farmed from Corrupted Vor in the Void or from the trade chat, 10 to 15 plat on an absolute maximum. Next, I gotta bring it to how elementals work, how IPS works, and how status chance works on basically any weapon in Warframe. You gotta keep in mind when you're looking at your status chance that the IPS, impact, puncture, and slash, the physical types, have a 4 times greater chance of proccing over elemental types such as corrosive. So when you're trying to figure out exactly what will proc first or what has the highest chance to proc, look at IPS times 4. So for example, my slash is not 100, it's 400 something. My puncture is not 60, it's actually 240, so both of these have a higher chance of proccing over corrosive. In a setup such as this, your proc order would be slash, puncture, corrosive, impact, and because they just show you the flat values here, that can get a bit confusing. Now if I want my corrosive to be higher on the pecking order, I'm gonna have to add even more corrosive, and I can do that by adding more toxin or more electricity. Either one of the two, it doesn't really matter which you add, because as you will see, it will offer you the same results. Now I'm up on 367.1 corrosive. It's not bad, at least it's higher than the puncture. Still the slash has a higher chance of proccing over the corrosive though. We're gonna go like this. As for our final mod slot, this is what I like to call an option slot. Please cater each and every single weapon to your own unique gameplay style. Whatever gives you joy, whatever you like, it doesn't really matter, because Warframe doesn't really require us to min-max that much. For example, a lot of players like to use Shred or Prime Shred if you have this one. This will give you fire rate and punch through. Fire rate is a big deal considering it will lower our kill time. That means a lot extra DPS. And the punch through will mean that we're going to be able to hit multiple targets in a line, basically with a single bullet or bullets. So that's once again is a huge DPS increase, and I highly recommend Shred. Here's another option you can go for, and usually this one is my favorite. It's called Vigilante Armaments. Once again, this is a fairly common mod. 60% multi-shot. It's not that big of a difference from Split Chamber, which is 90% multi-shot. And with this one on, it means that with each and every single shot, I have a guaranteed second bullet and a 50% chance at a third bullet. And I also have that third bonus, 5% chance to enhance critical hits from primary weapons. In Warframe, there are multiple tiers of crit, so if you get to 100% crit chance with a weapon, be advised that going over 100% is not a bad idea. 100% crits are yellow, 200% crits are orange, and 200 plus or 300% crits are red, so keep that one in mind, and of course the value will differ. This is the initial setup we're gonna be testing, and we're gonna be spawning in Corrupted Heavy Gunner level 120. Now if you're MR8, this is massively overkill, but I want to show you what the weapon can do against high level targets. Of course, the lower the level, the better the results. And we're gonna go for flat headshots on these guys. And as you will see, the Braton Prime can take these guys out in a matter of, what was that, 30 bullets, something like that. Now that is definitely not bad at all. When you see the orange crits on the enemies, that means the proc from Vigilante Armaments, that crit up we were talking about a bit earlier. This weapon is being kept in check by the low critical chance. If this thing had a higher critical chance, it doesn't even need to be that much higher, something like 20% instead of 12%, it would have been an absolute monster. Now this is definitely not bad. Taking out a target such as this in about 30 bullets is definitely respectable, but we can do a lot better than this. Now we're gonna switch to a bleed build, and this will include more expensive stuff, but if you're just starting out with the weapon now and don't have a lot of fancy mod, this will get you there. Don't have high voltage, forget about it. Plug it out, plug in Stormbringer, and you're gonna be good to go. But let's switch to a bleed build, and of course we're gonna be using the mandatory mods as before. Serration for damage, split chamber is gonna be for multi-shot, and we're also gonna be using Vigilante Armaments for multi-shot as well. We're gonna get more value out of the set bonus, but again the set bonus is only an afterthought, keep that one in mind. Don't base your decision on that one alone. In general, it doesn't carry that much weight. Crit chance and crit damage, like before with Point Strike and Vital Sense. Now, let's keep in mind that the Braton Prime does have a high slash value with a decent critical chance, so we can get our slashes one of two ways. We can get them through Hunter Munitions. Hunter Munitions currently in Warframe is an extremely overpowered mod. 30% chance to apply a slash status to an enemy on critical hit. But we only have a 30% crit chance, even though we are firing a lot of bullets at a target. That crit chance is a tad low. We can fix it, however, through the use of an Arcane, which is kind of expensive, unfortunately. Okay, not gonna need Guardian, and I'm not gonna need my Energize. Now, this Arcane is called Arcane Avenger, and I absolutely love it. On damage, 14% chance for 30% critical chance for 8 seconds. And you might say that, listen, man, 30% chance extra is not that big of a deal, but this is an additive after bonus, meaning that if you guys have a weapon with a 1% crit chance, when you get the proc from Arcane Avenger, that will go to 31% crit chance, not 1.3. Again, additive after bonus. Absolutely amazing Arcane. This Arcane actually enables a whole lot of builds, so keep that one in mind. We're going to be using Arcane Avenger. Now back to our Braton. Our critical chance with the buff up will go to 60%. Now you can go even further with the crit with something like Argon Scope, but Argon Scope works off of the base crit chance of the weapon, so it doesn't really offer all that much. In this case, for the final two mods, we're gonna build Viral Damage. Viral Damage is an outstanding elemental combo currently in Warframe because it will yield good results almost no matter the circumstance. It will reduce the maximum health of a target to 50% for the duration of the viral effect. So in a way, your slashes will be dealing double damage. Viral is the elemental combo between Cold and Toxin, and once again we're gonna go for the 60-60 mods with Rhyme Rounds and Malignant Force, because in this case in particular we're gonna be double dipping into slash procs. Normally when you build a weapon such as this for viral, you go for the 90 mods because you don't need 1,000 viral applications on the target like you do with corrosive. When proccing corrosive, each application will lower the armor of the target, but with viral you're not going to reduce the maximum health of a target lower than 50%, so you only need one good one. That would make way for the 90 mods, but our weapon has a high slash value. Once again, slash is the highest on the proc order, so going into 60 mods to increase that status chance will mean that I'm getting slash from two sources. One, from the weapon's innate slash value, and two, from the crits through Hunter Munitions. So basically we're gonna double dip like that. And this is the second setup I'm recommending to you guys, and we're gonna test it. Now, in order for this to be an effective test, I'm gonna kill off these guys and unpause the AI so they can hit me and I can get my Arcane Avenger up. Now you're gonna be able to see exactly what the weapon is capable of. All I need is one proc from Arcane Avenger, then I'm gonna go for it. There we go, Arcane Avenger proc, nice and easy and straight headshots, like so. And you're gonna see that I'm able to take out one of these high-level targets in about 20 to 30 bullets. Considering I am getting slashes from two sources, I'm gonna be able to light them up like a Christmas tree for the most part. Look at that. Constant viral laps, because again I am using the 60-60 mod, so there will be no problem with viral laps on the target, and plenty of slashes both from the crits through Hunter Munitions as well as through the weapon's innate slash value. Absolutely bloody beautiful. Now a lot of players like to poke at the Braton and make fun of it, saying that it's not that good, but this to me looks absolutely bloody outstanding. Look at all those slashes, and of course the value of the slashes will be determined if it's a crit, what type of crit it is, and so on and so forth. I cannot possibly call this a weak weapon, not when it can take out a target such as this in roughly 20 to 30 bullets with no problem at all. You got 75 bullets in a clip and a 2.2 reload time. This is definitely pretty good, at least to me. Now, you can go even further than this and you can augment your slash build a bit differently if you so desire with Argon Scope and bladed rounds. Basically, in doing that, you're gonna be dropping your viral effect. So let's see how a build like that would look. So without these, we're gonna go for Argon Scope, which currently still is very expensive, around 200 to 220 plat over on the trade chat, on PC at least. But bladed rounds is a lot more affordable at 10 to 15 plat maximum. Basically what I'm doing with Argon Scope and bladed rounds is increasing the slash chance through my Hunter Munitions, because again, more crit, better chances through Hunter Munitions, and bladed rounds is here to give me more crit damage value, therefore the value of my slashes will also be higher. Now take note that I'm only showing you this for the purpose of presentation. The 60-60 approach through viral works better on the Braton simply because while I am increasing my chance to apply slash status through critical chances, I am taking away the 60-60 mods which give me slash through the weapon's innate slash value. So in the case of the Braton Prime, I'm kind of screwing myself a little bit. So it's kind of like this. In terms of DPS, the 60-60 approach through viral worked a lot better for me, and that is the build I'm recommending to you guys. Now that was about 30 bullets on the target, a lot more slashes as you can see though, but no viral lap, no consistent viral lap, which means that one, I'm safe from it slipping off the target before the target bleeds out, but at the same time I'm not killing these guys as fast as I did earlier, so there is that to take into account. If you want to go for a build such as this because you want to use your expensive Argon Scope, then by all means go right for it. It's still an effective build, simply just not as good as the one we showcased earlier with the 60-60 mods and viral damage. There's one more build I want to showcase before I go, and it's gonna be a Riven setup. My Riven has damage and critical damage, and I'm gonna be keeping Arcane Avenger to make it work through Hunter Munitions, and as you can see is still a viral setup through Malignant Force and Rhyme rounds. Essentially the Riven took the place of Vigilante armaments, and we're gonna showcase what a Riven can do. Again, this is Dispo free we're talking about, so the Rivens are definitely worth it. For the Riven that you saw there, I think I paid something like 120 plat, so nothing too expensive. Then again, you can say, hey listen man, 120 plat I don't have, then you don't need really a Riven for the Brat, and as you saw earlier, this does make things a little bit better, but keep in mind that my Riven also has minus damage to Grenier, so there is that to take into account. Even with that, it's still about 15% better, and I can take out these guys a whole lot faster. It is worth going for a Riven for the Braton Prime. If you love the weapon, if you want to get the absolute most out of it, then by all intents and purposes, go for a Riven. It's not a bad idea, and the Braton is anything but a weak weapon. One more thing before I go, Lady Mirage and some Warframe buffs. It stands to reason that while you're in a mission, if you're public at least, you're gonna be getting some buffs, yes? So let's see what we can do with a couple of Warframe buffs. First of all, Rifle Lamp with 27% extra damage to rifles. Keep in mind that this is an aura, so everybody in your party will be receiving this benefit, and it is stackable ×4. But if you guys know you're gonna shoot Grenier, then you can simply go for Corrosive Projection, which is guaranteed to give you better results. But Rifle Lamp will grant its benefit regardless of the target you're shooting. Now, if you want to pump up this bonus even further, there is a way, a drift. It's called Coaction Drift, 15% aura strength and 50% aura effectiveness. And if you're unclear what exactly is the benefit from this one for an ordinary everyday rifle lamp or any other aura, check the wiki as it is detailed there. It simply gives you a bit more. Next we're gonna talk about arcanes because these are a lot more impactful than the aura. Arcane Rage, on headshot 10% chance for plus 100 and 20% damage to rifles for 16 seconds. Tremendous uptime out of this one. You are gonna get some headshots considering how many bullets you fire with the Braton, and I highly recommend it. Farmable from the third Eidolon down on Cetus. Alternatively, you can pay 100 and 120 plat from the trade chat, at least on PC. As for our second arcane, it's gonna be Arcane Avenger, the one we showcased earlier. This one is a bit more expensive, around 200 plat, and again, farmable from the third Eidolon down on Cetus. I know that farming Eidolons for some of you may seem intimidating, but take my word for it. Just go for it. Get a decent sniper, a decent amp, and you'll be all good to start. We're gonna be spawning in one more time the 8 corrupted heavy gunner, and of course I'm gonna be using Mirage's buff, her third ability and her first ability for the clones. And I can just power right through and murder these guys if I so desire. But of course in average everyday missions, if you meet a target, well, this level, you might wanna hide a little bit not to take all that damage. So maybe you want to let the slashes do the work for you, as again this is a slash build, and I can simply go like this, let the slash kill off the target. If I don't get the viral I can reshoot it again, which is a bit of a pain in the arse, I gotta be honest here. When you're talking about viral builds, this is my one and only problem with them. The general rule that I encourage with viral builds is shoot a target till about 50% health and then let it bleed out, like so. And that's pretty much all there is to it. The Braton Prime, from my point of view, is far from a weak weapon, and I highly recommend it, especially if you just hit MR8 and are looking for something solid, something reliable, and something iconic. That is the Braton Prime. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. If you have any feedback for me or would like to request a specific weapon review, then by all means leave it in the comment section down below. I can't realistically promise you that it will be done by next time, but I will be reading through each and every comment. But until next time, guys, bye bye.